salt everywhere. I could have ended up just like that broken road, with a dead end in my path. Thank the Lord that I've got more than that. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I won't forget the blessings that I don't deserve. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, would have kept me from the one I love today. One street over there's a life I could have known. Things aren't always as they
This is
seem.
1100 WSG. I'm Eugene LaVern, and yes, this is a little thing we call One Street Over. Kind of a slog out there today. It's a wet one, you guys, and it looks like the weather's saying it's going to be that way all day long. But we're going to do our best to brighten your day a little bit this morning. Not really sure. I haven't heard from Dr. Weeks. So Dr. Danny Weeks, is supposed to be coming in here today. And a lot of the times we try to touch base the night before, and we just didn't do that yesterday. But school board meeting should have happened last night. I think that the schedule is the same. It was so funny. I was talking with Steve Bisher yesterday, and I got to thinking, I thought, oh no, maybe this is the week that they, or the month that they postponed it, but it's not the school board meeting. The school board meeting is always on that second Monday. What happens with the county commissioner meeting is because in January and February, it gets pushed off a week because we have the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday in January, and then we have the President's Day holiday in February. And so those dates get pushed off, and we end up having our county commissioner meeting a week later. So the schedule gets altered a little bit in that we'll see Mayor Vogel coming in here on the fourth Tuesday instead of the third Tuesday. But we're due to see Dr. Danny Weeks in here, so I'm hoping he'll come on in here. I haven't heard from him, but no reason to believe that he won't be in here. The rain could be delaying him, but in all fairness, we did not touch base yesterday. But we did have the conversation last week. It's like, well, you just know you're supposed to come in. So hopefully he'll come on in here. A couple of things that are going on. I want to make sure that you guys realize that at Fiddledy Farms, and this is a call I wouldn't mind really actually getting them on the phone just to kind of talk to them, because they have such cool stuff happening out there. They have got their experience right now, crazy little thing called Love. And it opened last weekend. And of course, the big ticket is going to be the Valentine ticket that they'll have going on this weekend. I'm assuming those are sold out. But they've got shows going on through March 1st. So if you want to go to that show, they've got again special performances. You can see if they still have something available for Valentine's. They might, but this is a dinner and a show. And Lee Marie has spent a lot of time out there visiting at the venue at Fiddledy Farms. They've changed the name slightly just because they want it to be. They don't want people to assume that it's just a barn. And so we were talking with Craig from Fiddledy Farms, and he said that they made that decision to change the way they present it to the venue at Fiddledy Farms, so people understand what they've got there is not just a barn. And so, but we do want to absolutely make mention that is going on, and that is just a wonderful program that's happening, and hope that you can, go out and be a part of that. But again, those dates are through March 1st, but they've got a great website that works really, really well. And we were just, can't say enough about getting out there, and I may try to get them on the phone and talk to them to see what's, happening. But, and I think I'm going to reach out to Bill Jones right now and see if I can't get him to come in and maybe talk to us this morning. Cause I'm not hearing from Dr. Weeks. So I'm not really sure if we're going to have, our director of schools in here today. Again, that's what's on the schedule, but, we will just see what happens here. We've been doing a really cool thing here at 1100 WSGI. We've been reaching out to talk to the principals every month around the county. So if you've been missing out on that, that's on the first Tuesday of the month. And I think you would really enjoy getting to know some of these principals. Just some really wonderful people that I've had the great opportunity to meet through the principal interviews that we've been doing. Um, anyway, so I'm going to reach out to Bill Jones and see if he can maybe come in, because I haven't heard from I haven't heard from Dr. Weeks, um, and see what happens. But maybe he can come on in and join us. Otherwise, I'll be doing some talk to you about some of the things that I've been up to with some of the studies that I've been doing. That's something we can always talk about. But before we do that, let me kind of go through a couple of things too. We, can't say enough about all the things happening at school. We have some great programs going on. I know my husband Mark he works with Coopertown sports programs there, and they had their little recognition ceremony last night for the kiddos, and had a great time, honoring those kids that are getting involved in athletics in middle school. So that kind of stuff is going on right now. You've got a lot of that. I know we've got some parent teachers conferences. I actually got a call from, got those robocalls from Dr. Weeks yesterday talking about some of the parent teachers conferences going on. So if you don't really know what's going on in your schools, guys, go to the website. You can go to Robertson County Schools, and you'll have a drop-down menu where you can pick your school, and you'll have all the announcements and things like that will help you. Now, at Greenbrier High School, we do a lot of different things. We have so many on staff that are just dedicated to really getting the messages out. Can't say enough about Samantha Grimes. She is the director of our Renaissance Rally, of our Renaissance program. And what we do there is it's an amazing program to recognize those kids that are academic superstars. You have the programs, just like we had the one at Coopertown yesterday, where they went in and, did the athletic, recognitions. But a lot of these kids that are working to make sure they get the grades, make sure they do well on ACTs, and they're not missing school. I've got some kids who I'm just, crazy about and love them dearly, but we can't get them to come to school on time. They're tardy, or they're missing too much school, and it's a problem because they get behind. It causes, when your kids aren't at school, it is a disruption. That's all there is to it. It's a big disruption. So that is one of those things, you love these kids to pieces, but you can't make them understand how important it is to be at school. If you've got one of those kids that's just not wanting to go to school, talk to their teachers about what they miss out on, and see if you can't help us get them there on a little more regular basis. But anyway, what I was going to say is this is our Renaissance Rally week at Greenbrier. And if you have, we put it up on the digital sign so people could see, hey, this is a big week for us. And what the situation is, we have this awards program that we do where we reach out to the kiddos, and the ones that are, if you've got a 3.0, you're automatically considered eligible to go to the Renaissance Rally. Or if you have perfect attendance, or just other things that are going to set you up as being somebody that is academically a star. They want to reward you. And so we start, I guess it was probably about a month ago, where we start putting out the list of kids that qualify. Well, for the ones that don't qualify, they have this wonderful appeals program where they can, the kids can say, well, I'm maybe struggling, maybe I'm not doing that great in math, and that's pulling my GPA down. But they will have a program for them where they can tap in and say, I want to make an appeal to where I can go to the Renaissance Rally. And they grant a lot of those appeals. And so this is going to be a packed auditorium on Friday, and we'll try to share some video with you about it. But the kids come in, and they're just super excited. They have teams that they set up. They'll have four teachers that will be the team leaders, and then they'll have some other teachers that'll be kind of the main characters in this little scenario that they'll paint. And what they've done is they have set it up this year where we're doing superheroes, and I don't know if it's the Marvel. It's like Captain America and Spider-Man and Captain Marvel. So it's Marvel, yeah, it's Marvel Universe, and Scarlet Witch, and so they have all these teachers dressed up in these costumes. and they're the team leaders, and then they let the kids come together, and they have like this hype team that comes in, and they get the kids all excited about it, and then the kids join which team they want, and it's just a crazy, crazy, crazy fun time. And I remember my first year at school, they were talking about Renaissance Rally, and I thought, well, what in the world is this? And what was so interesting as I was watching the build up to the Renaissance Rally, there was a certain, group of kids that were just kind of like, it's nothing, because they were the ones that didn't get to go, maybe because they couldn't get their attendance right, or they were, maybe not doing their homework or not really applying themselves at school. Because if kids are good kids, they're going to get an opportunity to go, even if maybe they're having some struggles with their academics. But nonetheless, the ones that, were kind of dissing the whole thing were the ones that weren't there to participate. Well, I kind of thought that was interesting. And then when they told me that as a new teacher, they said, you've got to make sure you go and check it out because it's just the craziest, coolest thing. And so I popped in, and there's streamers, there are balloons, there's confetti. It is just the wildest thing. The kids go in and they compete in some games, and they unpack like a story narrative that goes along with it. And so throughout the process of telling the story, they play these games. And so they're, whose team is going to win. And so it's a big deal. It's a big bragging right to see whose team's going to win this thing. And they come in, and the team that wins gets I don't know what it was that first year, but now it's a Chick-fil-A breakfast that they have. And so that's a lot of fun, but it is just a great time. And we'll have, different administrators from the area that'll be there. We will have, and what's really cool is Renaissance is the program that brings you it's associated with Jostens, who brings the class rings and invitations and yearbooks and all those kinds of things. But Bill's saying he can come in at 7:30. Yes, that would be good. Yes, come on. We'll talk to Bill about maybe this weather. And so Bill's going to come on in here so I don't have to just keep prattling on myself. But I do have some things I want to tell you about. So by the time he gets here, I'll have all that covered. But so this is a program that's associated with Jostens that is the ones that do all these things for us within the schools. So the program, again, is to reward the kids that are doing well academically, that are applying themselves, and those kinds of things. So what we've got is there's a lot of there's schools in the area that have heard about how well we do the Renaissance program and the Renaissance Rally. And again, hats off to our program director, Samantha Grimes, because she just makes it just rock. But they're coming to watch. So we've got like 50 different folks from the area that are going to be coming to see our Renaissance Rally on Friday. And I think it's going to be one of the best because they have done it with the superheroes and the costumes and all the things. And the kids seem to be more excited about it this year. I think every year they just get more and more excited about it. I'm seeing kids participate in it that used to would be like, oh, I'm not going to go. And pretty much now, if they get the opportunity to go, they want to be there. And we're going to have a camera crew there. We're going to run the cameras. It's going to be just an outstanding time. So if you hear anything about Renaissance Rally from the Greenbrier High School, that's what it's about. And it is, again, just a big old pep rally for kids that are doing the right thing. And isn't that a cool thing? I just think that's the coolest thing ever. So anyway, if you can, have a chance to check it out, we'll definitely be sure and share some video and those kinds of things on social media. If you watch our newscast, we have those up at Greenbrier, the Greenbrier Bobcats. We have an audio video Facebook page that you can check out. And then you can also see it on our Greenbrier High School Facebook page because Miss Grimes, she always shares those. We had a YouTube page. If anybody's really good at navigating YouTube, I need some help. I had a YouTube page that I've had forever. And the way it works, you have to have a Google account to be able to have YouTube. So I had my YouTube page that I've put stuff up on for years. And I was able to set up a YouTube page off of my my original account for our Greenbrier audio video program. Well, now suddenly I can't access it. It's not even showing up as something that I can use. So if any of you out there are good with YouTube and navigating the ins and outs of it, I'm having issues with it. I guess I probably need to reach out to Steve Beischer from Vol State, because they do social media and things like that, and they might even actually be able to help me. That's another thing. We were talking to them about trying to bring a dual enrollment to Greenbrier High School that's a media type dual enrollment. So just so many cool things. If you missed the show yesterday, I hope you'll go back and take a listen to it. If you've got a kiddo that's interested in the music industry, that's interested in anything to do with social media and things like that, then you really want to tap into what they're doing at Vol State, because with the Tennessee Promise, if they will get the grades, again, we're talking about the same kids that we're rewarding at the Renaissance Rally, but if they'll, get the grades and apply themselves, they qualify for the Tennessee Promise, and they can take these amazing classes for free. And I mean, what an opportunity for the kiddos to do some really cool stuff. But anyway, Bill Jones is going to make his way in here. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about the weather and what to expect, because if you haven't looked, if you check the extended forecast, there's a little snowflake out there on Wednesday next week. So I'm really curious as to, what's moving in. We've had that. I know one of my co-teachers, Miss McCullough, she had said that she watches it real close because she's got a little one. And, we love snow days as teachers. We do. It's fun. We're just like the kids. But she said, she says, we're going to be so mild in February, but she says the extended forecast for February, there's a snowflake or two. And so she's been keeping an eye on it. And I was looking at it this morning and noticed where she was calling what we had in early February a false spring. And of course, we all know that Puxatawny Phil saw a shadow or didn't see a shadow, whatever. I forget which one it's supposed to be that says, okay, we're going to have, 6 more weeks of winter, but he saw the one that says we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter. So with that said, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, which one, if he sees a shadow, doesn't see a shadow, which one is, but they're saying we're going to have some more winter. And if you look at the forecast next week, the temperatures are going to be cool enough that we could see some snow. I think it's on about Wednesday next week is what they're looking at. Of course, the rain today, I don't know. I'm one of those people. I like rain days. I know it makes my arthritis hurt. My husband does not like gloomy, rainy days. I just love it because it's just like that washing, washing everything away. It's just that purification that we think about spiritually too. And, that's a lot of the things I have been studying, talking about I love to study scripture from the Hebraic view, and looking at what our Jewish family think about what was written and who it was written to and the original context. And there's so much about mikveh and the ceremonial baptism and those types of things that you see in scripture. And it just fascinates me. I'm so interested in archaeology and the discoveries that they're making. If you're not paying attention to the archaeological discoveries that have just been happening, and some of these are things that they discovered years ago that they can now translate and find more out about. There's a couple of great sources. There's one called Expedition Bible. Joel Kramer, I think is his name, but he's almost like a Indiana Jones type. And that is a wonderful site. He's got a book called When God Came Down, or God Came Down, but it's an archaeological book that is full of pictures and illustrations, and it is just absolutely, I think When God Came Down is the name of the book. But Joel Kramer's site, Expedition Bible, a great archaeological site. Titus Kennedy does a great job with his archaeological stuff he does. He's got a book that's got like the 100, it's called Unearthing the Bible, and it's it's a collection of 100 archaeological discoveries that help prove that what we're reading in Scripture has all this archaeological proof. It's just breathtaking when you see this stuff. I listen to it constantly, and I'm just blown away by what I was listening to something. I'm wanting to say it was on Joel Kramer's site, Expedition Bible, this morning, where they were talking about like I said, I don't have my notes in front of me. It was the one, was it the guy who's the donkey talked to him? Was it Baal? No, I'll have to look it up. I can't remember. The prophet that where he was supposed to, he was called by a local king, and he said he couldn't curse Israel. And so the only thing that we have, Balaam's donkey. Yeah, it was Balaam's donkey. So, we have this account in Scripture where it talks about Balaam being this seer and going to curse Israel, and then he couldn't, and all this stuff. And so the only reference we had to him was from Scripture. Well, they have found etchings, they have found written record of him now in ancient history. And so that kind of stuff is happening all the time, where something we'll read in Scripture and people will be like, well, is it real or is it not? And then we'll find it written in the stone that they're unearthing. For so long, they always thought that King David was a myth, and that's something that people had just made up. And like if I was talking about Balaam the seer, it was actually in Titus Kennedy's book, I guess. Titus Kennedy's book on the entry number 24 is about Balaam the seer, and the inscription that they have there that has proven that he was a real character. And for so long, people didn't really think that that David was somebody that could be proven, because we have so much through Egyptian record. Primarily, they kept such extensive records. I mean, we've got the mummified kings, for heaven's sakes, that came through Egypt. But the Israelites, as a people, they were more nomadic, and so they traveled around a lot, and so there wasn't as many records. But they did find, they call it the Tel Dan Stele, where they find a record where they're talking about, Bill, if that's you, come on in. They find a record of talking about the house of David. And so they have found historic records now of King David, of where his name is written in stone. So, that's proof. And they've been uncovering what they believe is his palace, where they have found it in an area that's only been, excavated in like the last 20 years. But it's just some fascinating stuff archaeologically going on right now in Israel. And if you haven't studied it, again, those two sources are that I love. Titus Kennedy is one, and he has a great book out. Joel Kramer is another one. He has a great book, and he has a website called Expedition Bible. And the, let me see, there's the Armstrong Bible Institute, I think, is the other one. Armstrong Bible Institute is another one that I listen to a lot, and I watch their programs all the time. Bill Jones, I just drug him out of the bed and made him come in here, and I was like, can you come help me? I don't know what happened to Dr. Weeks. He's supposed to be in here today. We did not touch base yesterday. Well, I'm assuming the school board happened last night, and so we even kind of joked around. It's like, well, he knows he comes in the day after school board. And so I didn't email him, and I guess maybe he forgot or something.
Probably.
But yeah. But anyway, I'm so glad you were able to pop in here and help me, because I can talk about all kinds of things. I don't know how interesting it is, but I got to share a little bit about some of the things going on at Greenbrier. We have this big rewards program for kids that do well academically. I've talked a little bit about the weather and the fact that we might have some snow on the horizon next week. I saw a little snowflake on Wednesday.
Well, we're on the border, of the state, and we're right on the edge of the storm, so anything could happen.
Okay. So are you seeing? I saw where you'd sent me an email, and I haven't had a chance to open it. I'm so glad I got to see you.
I send them out 2 a week.
Okay.
Mondays and Thursdays, I think.
Okay.
On weather forecast.
Well, and I got the one, I guess, from because I got the one from yesterday, and I hadn't had a chance to look at it. So is it talking about the possible snow coming in next week? Or is it way too early?
I wouldn't go that far, because that's too far out for accurate forecast.
Okay.
3 or 4 days is an accurate forecast, but a week and a half, 2 weeks later,
It's hard
It's
to
just
know.
a big guess,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't say that. But
Have you been seeing a little something on the horizon for next week? Have you looked that far ahead?
well, I see a lot of stuff. It just
Mm-hmm.
depends on what what you look at, because there's a lot of models out there,
Right.
European model, American model, da da da. So some do and some don't. But
Yeah.
we're right on the edge. Anything could happen.
Right.
If it moves a few miles one way or the other, we get snow or rain. It just depends on what
Okay.
it does. So
Yeah, because I'm looking at the projected temperature, and this is way ahead. This is the teacher in me. My kids have rubbed off on me. When a snow day,
Oh, school.
when a snow day.
Yeah.
And Dr. Weeks will tell you, we've used 2 or 3 of them, and we have 10. And a lot of my
I think you're going to use some more.
you think so? Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Ooh, that's exciting, y'all.
Yeah, you don't have to go to
You
school.
know, we don't want to. Well, we all like taking a little bit of time off. But now Bill has brought a contraption with him. What have you brought with
Yeah,
you?
I just grabbed this real quick when you call me. This is something everybody ought to have. You got one.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does, it's a little kit. It comes with these,
And it was a gift from
alligator
him, by
clips.
the way. Thank you so much.
and
That's so sweet of
when
you.
your battery is down or something, you can just stick this in the car. You charge them up. It keeps a charge for a long time. And
Oh my goodness, what was that?
I don't know.
That was weird. Okay.
And you just put this in the glove box.
Okay.
And then if your battery goes down, you just clip this onto your battery, and it'll give you a charge enough to start your car.
Yeah.
It also will charge your cell phone.
Uh-huh.
It has a little place on there for that, and other things that have a cell. What do they call a little connector? This morning I'm not thinking real clear.
I hear you, because I abruptly woke him up and said,
I'm not
"Hey."
taking enough Predigen.
Wanna-
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But
But we
anyway,
can talk-
it's got all kinds of little
Yeah.
gadgets
Yeah.
on it. But
There you go.
anyway,
But,
that's a handy thing to have. They're not expensive, and
But that was a real
you
sweet
ought to
thing.
put one in your car because it just fits in the glove box. It's like a big battery, but it holds enough power to get your car started and charge your phone.
He blessed me after we had the little incident out here when my battery was down and it died.
And
I
you
needed some
connected
help.
it up backwards.
And I connected it up backwards.
Blew my
Farm
battery.
girl, did I ruin your battery?
Yeah, but
No.
mine was under warranty.
Oh, you're
So-
kidding.
Yeah.
Oh no, Bill, this is the first you've told me of that. Oh
It's
my
it's
goodness.
just one of those things. I should have
Oh,
looked
my
instead of,
goodness. So I
always
ruined
tell
your
myself,
battery.
check everybody else and yourself both. Don't.
Oh, I didn't know
Believe-
I ruined your battery.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh
It's-
my
it's
goodness,
just
Bill.
funny.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's first
But
you
anyway,
told me
these
about
things
that.
are really handy, and you have a little charger that comes with it. You plug in the wall, and you take it home and put it on charger like you do your cell phone at night or something, and that charges it up. It's out of your, just like you do your cell phone.
Right. My husband fixed mine up for me, so
And
I didn't know the
it-
process. But
This thing has been sitting around several months for me, and I hadn't charged it. And it's got like 90% on it.
Oh, really?
So it's really a handy thing.
those
to
are
have.
handy things to
And
have.
everybody's got them. I guess I don't know. Harbor Freight's got them, and
Mm-hmm.
Walmart, and everybody's got them. They're real prevalent. So
Well, that's
anyway,
really cool.
thought you'd like to see that or talk about it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's like I said, I have one now, but thanks to you, and they are super handy. But calling you in here, I guess the weather's always one of those things that we like to talk to you about. But I do love talking to you about. Did you hear me talking about any of the Bible stuff, about the archaeological stuff?
Boy, there's
that's-
a lot going on in
Man,
that.
I'm telling you,
archaeological field.
that is if I could just study that,
You know
that's what
what's
I would
so
do all the
funny
time
about
because
that?
I find it just absolutely fascinating.
These so-called highly educated people don't believe anything until it's proven, and they don't believe the Bible. Well, did you know they found such and such, which proves what the Bible says? And I thought, well, duh, it already told you.
Yeah.
And there's other things that's popping up all the time, and it's just amazing. I subscribe to a lot of this stuff, and I laugh when they say something like that because it's. And then I have some one or two detractors that contact me because I mail out a lot of stuff, and they'll come back at me with stuff, and it just tickles me to death when it's proven, And they,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but let's go to something else now.
Yeah.
They want to find something they don't believe is true out of the Bible, and it just tickles me.
Oh, I
said,
know.
I have no problem believing what the Bible says you do, So if you all want to go dig in the dirt and prove it, that's fine, but I already know it.
Well, it's like I was talking about the Tildan steel, the first inscription that came out that said, okay, King David was real, because it talks about the house of
Well,
David.
see, they didn't have any proof of David for a long
For a
time.
long
They just
time.
found
Mm-hmm.
something else with his name on it, and also they said, oh, yeah, this is true.
Well, and they have been excavating an area in Israel that they believe is his palace now, that they found, just in the last, I'm wanting to say 15 to 20 years, it's been excavated.
Well, you got to think
And it's incredible.
a lot of this is happening because they weren't allowed to dig in some areas.
Yeah.
So especially during the Iraq War, all that, that
Mm-hmm.
just, a lot of stuff got destroyed, and they wouldn't let them in there to dig. And of course, digging is a very slow process with toothbrushes
be.
and little picks, because they don't want to miss anything. So
Well, and the stuff that they've been doing, they have the sifting project from the Temple Mount. Have you heard about this one?
what now, though?
That from the Temple Mount, where
Yeah.
the Dome of the Rock, they had, and this is, I'm wanting to say it's another about 15, 20 years ago. I think they said this started in like around 1999, somewhere in there, where they came in and just started digging under the Dome of the Rock.
I'm
and
surprised they let them do that.
Well, they didn't.
Oh,
They didn't. They just started doing it and took hundreds of loads of dirt out and were dumping them out in like a garbage area. And people were, once they realized what was going on, some archaeologists that wanted to preserve this went out there and said, we've got to sift that dirt.
yeah.
Because number one, it's destroyed whatever
didn't know about
archaeological.
that.
Yeah, it's incredible. But it's called the sifting project, the sifting
that up.
project.
Yeah.
And it actually has just kind of lost funding because of the war that
Yeah.
is going on. And so right after Hanukkah this year, they pretty much have suspended operations, because what they've been doing is they were able to move the dirt from the dump site and put it somewhere secure. And now when they try to dig out stuff over by the Temple Mount, they say you can't touch it. They don't, they just, it's just a lot of just, the politics out there. It's just crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And so they've been sifting through this stuff, and they're finding exactly what they think they would find. They're finding, evidence of a Babylonian conquering, and they're finding.
What's so interesting, if you become a Bible reader or reading Old Testament history, all of this historical stuff happened in a real close area. It wasn't spread out for thousands of miles. Just when you talk about what Abraham, when he made a sacrifice, David, all of it all was in that little area right there. It wasn't,
Not that big of a space.
and
And
everything
you have to,
is there if you want to dig it up.
Yeah, for sure. And Paul, he says, explain what it is. Are you wanting the contraption that Bill has? It's the power boost thing, or something that I said I think he's wanting a better explanation of what you had. You'll have to explain, Paul. I'm not sure, because we've been all over the place. You know how we are. But Paul's saying, explain what it is. It may be that better, or it may be something that I was talking about with all the biblical stuff. But we'll see what he has to say. But no, I spend a ton of time. Okay, the thing that you have in your hand. Explain better what that
Okay,
is.
this
What
is
it's called. Let
called-
me hold it up.
Oh, okay. It's called a power boost.
It's power boost.
And yeah, it's
you go.
lightweight. What do you think it weighs? A pound or two or
Yeah,
something?
a couple of pounds. It's nothing.
And
But it's very
it comes
cool.
with these.
Yeah.
You plug that into the back of the thing, and then put this on your battery, car battery or whatever. I use it. I have a big marine battery in my house that I run my hammer equipment on when I need it. So I'll use it every now and then on that to. If I'm doing something else, I just want to hook up something real quick to charge it. But you can get these at, like I said, Walmart, Harbor Freight. A lot of car parts places have them, and they're not expensive. But this is rated at 12 volts at 1,000 amps. So that's pretty good. And
Well,
it's
see,
called
that's the thing. I'd
Boost
never heard
Plus.
of them, and Paul is just saying the ones he has seen are bigger than that. But that's what's so cool about this.
This is
one,
the
Paul,
newest thing
is
out.
you can put that in your glove box, and
Yeah.
it's just it's just handy as all get out. But after my little battery incident out here in the
I
parking
should
lot,
have used this on yours, and I didn't think about it. I just got my cables
Yeah.
out because to get to my battery in my car, it's in the back seat floorboard.
Yeah.
But I was in that pickup truck, which
Right.
is easily accessible.
Mhm.
And I had the cables in there. I should have this was at home. I should have just didn't think
Well,
about it. Should have brought it.
and it's one of those things. You have to always check yourself because I know how to hook up a battery. I know how to do it. I mean, I grew up on a farm, Dad, blame
Yeah,
it.
but when you're in
And-
stressful, you
I
get.
think that's what it was, and did not know I fried your battery though. I'm so glad it was under warranty. I was gonna say I owe you some money, buddy.
No,
Yeah, you're so gracious. He even let me borrow his truck, y'all. I mean, I just love this guy. Our local historian. If you
I was
don't know
hoping
Bill
it'd break
Jones,
down. You'd have to pay for it.
do what now?
Hoping it would break down while you had it, so you'd have to pay for the repair.
Oh, there you go. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Tell your husband that.
Yeah, I know you don't mean that, but you're very sweet. I actually had said if you ever decide to sell that truck, I might be interested in it. That's a good truck. You're the only owner on that, aren't you?
Yeah, they. It's a 2003, so I haven't used it much, so it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
It
Well, if you ever decide to sell it, give me a call.
does need a few things, and the air conditioner doesn't work,
That's okay.
so it's hot in the summer and hot in the winter too.
That's okay. That's
It's
okay.
too expensive to repair.
Yeah, it's just said you get to a point when they get
Be
to
worth
that
more
age.
than the truck.
So, but we're talking with Bill Jones. He popped in here. We were expecting Dr. Danny Weeks the day after the school board meeting. Usually he pops in. I did not confirm with him yesterday, so I just assumed he knew he was coming in, and I think it just probably slipped his mind. So we will definitely give him grace on that and get him rescheduled probably next week because we don't have any slots this week. We have staypositive.news will be coming in tomorrow. You know, there's somebody, Danny Weeks wanted me to have a lady in, and I just haven't had a place to put her. Let me see if I can find it. They're doing something special at they're on the 17th. They're going to be doing a special program up at the Historical Society, and let me see if I can really. There's a play. I'm guessing this is. I guess the new executive director from Willow Oak, that she is going to be the guest and going to speak at the Historical Society because she's going to be talking about her new play that she wrote called Sayre. Now, I had her on with Lacey Bew because of the Willow Oak tie, and we talked about what she's doing, and but she's going to be talking about this play that she's written. She's just a really sweetheart. She's just really fun to talk to, and she's a storyteller. So I hope that if you can come out and be a part of what's going on at the Historical Society. I don't have. Do you know when they actually meet? Is that an evening or is that
Historical.
Yeah.
It's going to meet. Let's see. Is it a week from Monday night?
Okay, so it is a
it's
Monday
at night
eve-
right
yeah.
now. Sometimes
Yes.
summertime it's in the daytime, but
Okay.
this is at night, and
Okay. Well, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So this is going to be.
I believe it's a week from Monday night. I think.
It's this coming Monday night. It's the 17th.
It's
That's
this.
what he was
Okay,
telling me. Yeah.
okay.
That's what he was telling me. And
It was a week from yesterday. That's what I'm.
correct.
my
And the
mind's
new
not
executive
working yet.
director of Willow Oak Center is going to be the one that's going to be the guest there. So
7
that's going to be
o'clock.
really
I believe it's 7.
okay. Well, good deal. Where do they meet at the
At
historical?
the old post office. That's the museum.
Okay, so they do meet at the museum.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they just remodeled.
Okay. Oh,
they
it's
just opened it back
it's
up.
Fun. Yeah, it's beautiful.
As far as I know, if there's a bigger crowd, they expected they'll go across the street to the senior citizens.
Okay.
But
they get bigger,
as far as I
okay.
know, they've got plenty of seating in there,
Okay. But
and
if-
most programs are there.
Okay, if you haven't been to our museum, it is fabulous, and the building itself is so interesting to look at. That old post office. I remember when Danny first told me that the reason why the post office is such a fortified building is because when before Prohibition and back in the day we were a big tobacco and liquor producer in this county, and a lot of money, and they didn't have really a bank to store in. They kept it in that post office. And that just to me is fascinating. I never knew that post offices were used instead of banks sometime, or they were actually
I
the
can
bank.
remember it. As a
Really?
kid, it's so interesting to me. They had this little trace or chase along the ceiling, and there would be men in there, and they had little windows that watched the people working to make sure they didn't take something they weren't supposed to. And I'd go in there and I'd look up there and I couldn't see them, but I knew they could see me. I thought, wonder if they're at that window or that one.
So this was but this was as a post office.
Yeah, in the post when it was a post office.
Okay.
And also during World War II, there was a Mr. Farmer here who, as you go in the post office or a museum now, you take a left and there's a stairway. It goes upstairs, and he had a little office up there with a telephone, and he'd report on German citizens or people had come here from Germany, and he'd report them about what their activity was. So a lot of there was several German families out on the Derville Highway, and here they were in the tobacco business. And in town too. I know the names, but I won't tell you. But he would report their activities, and the rumor got around that the Germans were going to come in here and parachute out on the farm that one of them owned on Derville Pike.
Wow.
It's just strange what people believe, what they come up with. But that was a rumor, and everybody was. Oh, now why would anybody want to come over here? Germans fly all the way over here to parachute into Springfield.
My goodness!
But that's
interesting.
That happened, and the post office used a lot of different things, reasons. But it was a very nice. I mean, it's if you go in there now, you see a lot of the windows and glass work, and you see the boxes and things. It's really nice to go in and visit.
So when did they stop using it as a post office then?
They built a new post office, I think, around early 60s, I think.
Okay.
62 or 3, I think. I've got it written down at home. I don't remember exactly.
Interesting. Because you look at that building compared to what the building is now. I mean, it's a much more stately building than what why would they replace it?
Just needed a new,
Yeah.
I forget when it was built. It was built way back.
Well, it's perfect for the museum, so I'm glad we have it for the museum because it is spectacular. It is a
post office has
building.
Been 2 or 3 different places in town.
Okay.
Small place on the square. There was, I can't remember where it was, but it was located on the square at one time.
Yeah. It is a cool building.
This was they got a government grant for it and all. They had to do a lot of pull to get it built. I remember a lot of people working on it and trying to get the governor and the senators and to get it. And
there's more automation in there and that kind of thing, I'm sure. But, you can put automation in any structure, really.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. So, this has been kind of a hodgepodge show, guys. I apologize. I didn't confirm with Dr. Weeks last night.
A learning show.
There you go. We're just, covering all kinds of things. But,
I put something on Facebook yesterday about a man uptown that did something, and everybody says, that's so interesting. And it is to me, just little tidbits of information. This man, I can remember him. His nickname was Snake.
I don't think I've heard this one, Bill.
No, you hadn't.
Okay.
But there's so many like that I remember. If somebody reminds me, I sort of remember it. But when I was a kid, this guy died in 1964 or 63, somewhere like that. But anyway, he's born in Cross Plains about 1911 or something like that. And he played this guitar, and he lived with his sister on 13th Avenue, which is now Central, down near the Wilson plant on the right. And anyway, he'd come to town, and you don't remember it, but Kroger's was on 7th Avenue. The little building, it's a college or something now on 7th Avenue. If you're at the senior center and you go south, you'd run into this building on 7th Avenue.
Really? Because now I remember Kroger being where, it's right there where they have the Hispanic store now, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't the Kroger right there?
It was where Hills is now.
Oh, that was Kroger?
That was Kroger's, yeah.
I didn't remember it being, because
Back in
when I first moved here, Kroger was on this end of town.
Well, first I remember it was on 7th Avenue.
Okay. I was thinking it was because when they moved the big store, because I was thinking it was down this way somewhere. But go ahead and tell your story.
About A&P, I guess. A&P was down on Memorial.
Maybe. Okay, well, go ahead and tell your story.
Yeah,
we're digressing
This
here.
guy Mr. Smith.
Snake.
Huh?
The guy named Snake.
No. Mr. Smith was a manager of Kroger's.
Okay,
on 7th Avenue.
All right.
And Snake would come around.
Okay.
And he would clean up the back of the store outside, and Mr. Smith would give him bread, day-old bread.
Okay.
And anyway, Mr. Smith's son contacted me. I didn't even know he existed on Facebook and told me about that. I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
But what Snake would do, he'd sit uptown on the weekends, Friday and Saturday, because everybody came to town
Yeah.
on Saturday. And there's a lot of foot traffic. A lot of people, they'd park their cars and walk up and down the street,
Yeah.
going in the stores. We had a furniture store called Henry and Bell, and we would put chairs out in the front of the store, and people would come by and sit down and talk,
Yeah.
So you learn a lot,
Different
just
time,
talking.
man. Yeah.
Farmers came in on the weekends,
Yeah.
But anyway, Snake had this guitar, and he had one arm. Now, I don't know how he lost his arm. I looked up, he had a World War II draft card.
Okay.
So he may have lost it in the war, or he worked for the sheriff, Tenant Corbin. And Tenant Corbin had a farm out in Cedar Hill, and he worked for him. And but anyway, he lived with his sister, Miss Ella Mae Hyde, down on Central, we'll call 13th then. And of course, 13th didn't go all the way through like it does now from Memorial. Well, it wasn't a Memorial Boulevard then, and it just stopped there at South Main. But anyway, he would sit on the sidewalk, and he had this headpiece on that would hold a harmonica and a pipe. And it had a long thing that the pipe attached to, and he would move it up and down a guitar like a steel guitar, and he would he would strum, but he would move this, by moving his head, he'd move this pipe that you smoke, up and down the strings. You heard
Making the chords and stuff.
Yeah. And so he would sing and play this guitar. He had a jar, and people would give him tips. And so I remember him. Somebody told me last night they remembered him around Bentley's 5 and 10 and Paul's store down there on 7th and Main. I remember him up in front of Randolph house. He would sit where they had a little opening right there, and he'd sit on the corner of that where the doors were and play, and people would give him money. And I don't know why, I just hadn't thought about it in a long time until something jostled my memory, and I said, oh, yeah, and I wrote it, and then people started adding to it, which comes up to a real good story,
That is so funny. I've never heard that story. And
I know nobody else has either.
I'm trying to figure out how in the world he made did he play well? Did it sound good? I was going to say.
Oh, I remember.
I can't imagine that it
just,
sounded very, very
it's
good.
just a twangy sound,
Yeah.
And how it would do if today they have this little metal bar and they run it up and down.
Well, yeah, for
the strings.
steel guitar.
He used a pipe
How
on his
funny.
head, and he had a harmonica where he could play the harmonica and the guitar at the same time, and with one arm.
I would love to see a
with one
picture
arm.
of that. I would.
I
Love
don't
to see
know.
a picture of
I've
that.
never seen a picture, so I don't know.
That would be something else, man.
There
That's
were
interesting.
people
Snake.
all through town in the last century that are interesting like that. They weren't anybody noted, but they were characters in town.
Mm-hmm.
And I hesitate to talk about them because I sound like I'm putting somebody down, but I'm not. It's just historical.
They were just different.
And people, we've always had them in town, and it was just interesting people. And they caught my eye. I would just look at them again because they did something different. It was just different.
Well, we have Billy that walks around town now. That's a different guy, and he walks in the stores and, and sees
We don't
everybody.
have as many as we used to have.
Yeah.
I remember one guy would walk from Barren Plains to Springfield every day, and he was shell shocked. I understand, but he wasn't normal.
Yeah.
And we've had several people around. There's a lot of things I hesitate to mention because there's people kin to them still around, so I don't say a lot.
Well,
but
and
they're there. There's stories.
I think everybody knows Billy,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I mean, he's all over the place. I
Yeah.
see him out walking all the time. And there's been different ones over the years that I have met that are just interesting folks.
They are.
I was talking to I don't know who it was. I was talking about my experiences at the Benevolence Center when I was working at the church, and really one of the most profound times of my life. We had this guy that if some of these people, and I think this kind of ties into, we were having some conversations about my father's house and the necessity of it and all of that. And I said, you've got some people that just don't have a place. They just don't have family. They just don't have resources. We had this gentleman that we all just truly loved. We called him Happy. And he was kind of like our Otis Campbell. at the Benevolent Center. And he passed away a few years ago. But the story on him, when you sit down and talk to him and his brother lived on the street. And you're like, okay, Happy, how did you end up on the street? Why are you there? Because eventually he, developed an alcohol issue, and that's what kept him there. But as a young teenager, I mean, before he was, I think he was like 14, 15 years old, he was saying that his mother had remarried a guy that didn't like him and his brother, and they just got kicked out on the street.
I know that. I know some situations like that.
And it's, that's, you get to know these folks that are just, living off the land. Just
the mother probably, didn't have a choice.
Yeah, and it was, I'm sure, apparently an abusive situation. So you've got these folks that you end up around town, like you're describing this guy Snake. Who knows what his story was,
Well, some people told me, so I remember the guy, but I didn't know his name was Snake.
Oh, how
so
funny.
you just pick it up from different, and I remember it. But
yeah. But that's interesting. If you want to have some interesting conversations, you see this gentleman around town, Bill Jones. He's full of history. Got a lot of stuff.
One of the nearer things would be when they made the movie Uptown. Everybody would watched it,
Are you talking about the Johnny Cash movie?
Yeah. You saw Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson, whoever else, I don't know. But, I mean, if you were there and remember that.
Wasn't Waylon in it?
I don't think so.
But
I had a 35 millimeter Argosy camera, click, 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 and I was, taking pictures and got up close to Johnny Cash and everything. And then I thought, this thing holds a lot of film because I've taken a lot. I get home, I open it up, it wasn't any film in it.
Oh, no, Bill. We did that on our honeymoon. My husband and I had borrowed my daddy and mama's camera, and we were taking pictures, and there was no film in the camera. It was like, it's like, what do you do? Of course, now
I hate to admit that. That's sort of
I did the same thing.
Really?
I did the same thing. But, it's kind of like hooking up the battery backwards, Bill. Sometimes we all just do things we're not thinking. I got to pause. Thank you for coming in, because it's always much more interesting when I can talk to you and not just talk about random stuff and just try to kill the time. I don't want to do that. I don't want to waste your time. Now, I mean, when we have to do that, we always share information that we think you need to know, community calendars and stuff like that. Lee Marie even said, if you'll tune into the Go Show tomorrow, you might find your Valentine. I don't know what she's up to. There's no telling. She's going to do like a love connection.
She is an active person.
She has got more going on than anybody I've ever known, and loves this county like she was born here. And man, she's only been here like 7 years. So she knows way more about it than I do. God bless her. And I'll tell you, somebody that knows an awful lot about Robertson County are my friends Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. They're like me. They're transplants. They're from Kentucky. But they've been here for nearly 30 years, Cross Plainians. They made this their home a long time ago, so they specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky, because like I said, they're from Kentucky, originally like me, so we know a lot about that state, and they understand the nuances of if you're going to have property and if you're going to live in Kentucky and maybe work in Tennessee. It's a little different. So, because we don't have a property, we don't have a state income tax here. They do up in Kentucky. So what does that mean to you? They can help you navigate those waters. Rebecca, one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. So if you're older, you want to maybe downsize, do something different, all of those things she can help you with. Barry, the marketer of the bunch, he was a marketing vice president for nearly 17 years up in Nashville, and bringing that expertise to the real estate community is priceless. He has a brokerage office in downtown. She has her agency office out in White House. They combine those two to bring you Exit Prime Realty, a new branch in the Exit Tree. That's where they've always worked with Exit through the Garden Gate team, but they started their own branch last year and want to invite you to be a part of it. They're actually having an Exit Prime Realty agent mixer. So if you want to be a part of that, they're going to have a drawing for a $100 gift card. Refer you to the address is 610B Highway 76 in White House, and it is happening Thursday night at 5 p.m., Thursday afternoon at 5 p.m. You can call Rebecca if you want details on that at 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, and you can go to sellwithbecky.com, buy, B-U-Y, robertsoncounty.com. You can look her up on Facebook, Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty, and she has a posting about that mixer if you want to go and check it out. So whatever you're doing, buying, selling, you want to be an agent, talk to Barry and Rebecca Richards. Be sure when you do reach out to them, let me give you her phone number real quick, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. When you talk to them, always please let them know that you reach out to Dr. Danny Weeks and
I
apologize
wish
to
you'd
him.
give me a little more notice.
I'm so sorry. And I'm
Come up with
telling you,
something really new.
I'm telling you, but we'll do something. We'll do something. We'll try to do something here toward the end of the month.
You ought to have an anniversary time. I don't know how long you've been here, but have an anniversary morning.
I started on New Year's Day, but it was.
What year?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I'll have to look.
okay.
I'll have to look. And but we started over at DBL, and so I will have to look. I'm not really good at gauging those things. But it was one of those things. It was so funny. They had asked me several times to do something on this radio station, and I was just too busy. And when they called me, Neil called me, and he says, "I need you to do a talk show, LaVern." I was like, "I told you, man, I don't have any free time." He goes, "Well, 7 days," because Dick was leaving and going back to Chicago. I said, "Well, that's the 1 hour of the day I'm free." So I'm just thrilled that I did it because it led to my job at the schools. It led to my friendship with you. And what a blessing
Make a lot of money with that.
Ha, ha, ha. Oh, it's just so interesting.
That's a joke.
You're so interesting. So always bringing something to the table. So I'll reach out and we'll try to do something. I'm not going to be on Thursday and Friday this week. We'll have to talk about knee replacements here pretty soon. They're having to go back into my knee again. I've had complications. Yeah, I've had some complications with my right knee, and I tell everybody that because it's not a secret because it's kind of but I don't want people to be discouraged about knee replacements. This is not something to do with the joint. It has something to do with I'm having some issues with a hematoma. And so I don't know really what they're doing. I'm just kind of like, eh. So they got to go back into my knee on Thursday. And, I know you've done fabulous, though, haven't you? You haven't had any issues at all. My left knee, I had no problems with. This is just kind of unusual. This is very unique.
They replace our joints with
with
titanium and all this stuff, and they only last 15 years or so. The original is so much better.
Oh, because
God
made it.
It's never exactly the same or as good as it was.
I'll tell you, though, the miracle of it, though, I couldn't. I was really having a hard time walking this time last year. So even with the trouble I've had with my right one, it's so much better than what it was because there was times I just couldn't even walk from it because my knees were just locked up.
I know.
So I please don't gauge me like, well, LaVern's had so much trouble. It's something very rare.
With mine, I lost 20 pounds. My knee operation.
Yeah.
The other knee quit hurting.
Well, there you go. God bless you.
The weight was doing it.
So really. So you've decided not to have that other one done.
No, I don't need to. It doesn't. No pain at all now.
Well, good for
Used
you.
to, it was worse than the other one.
Well, God bless you. See, there's something to be said for getting that weight down, y'all.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with that. So, but I'll be out Thursday and Friday. I think Lee Marie's going to come stand in for me. But I'll be here tomorrow, and I do appreciate you coming on in here at the last minute and helping me out.
A little more notice next time.
Yeah, I know, Bill. I will do my very best.
Luckily, on walking distance.
I know. He's just up the street. So thank you guys for joining us for this absolute hodgepodge of a show. I hope you had some fun with us. We talked about a lot of different things, and as we always do. But tomorrow we should be hearing from StayPositive.news. I will send them a reminder to make sure that Dr. Danny Weeks, no worries, brother, we'll reach out and we'll try to get you in here sometime next week. And God bless you. Thank you for joining us. This is 1100 WSGI. Have a wonderful day. Be careful in the rain.
Was battered and scarred, and the auctioneer felt there was hardly